CNN Breaking News.
Hello, everyone, and our breaking news is from Indonesia. I'm Natalie Allen.
I'm Cyril Vanier. Authorities say a Lion Air passenger plane carrying 189 people has crashed into the sea.
The flight went missing soon after takeoff from Indonesia's capital, Jakarta, early Monday morning local time. It was on its way to Pangkal Pinang. Search and rescue teams are at the area where the plane went down into the ocean.
All right, CNN's Ivan Watson joins us now from Hong Kong. Ivan, what do we know at this stage?
It appears that this plane was only in the air really for a matter of minutes, Cyril, before it went down, because authorities are saying that the crash site is about 34 nautical miles away from the airport in Jakarta. That's just about 63 kilometers. So it gives you a sense of how short a period of time it was up in the air. Now, the Transportation Ministry in Indonesia put out a press release saying that the crew had requested that the plane turn around, and then they lost radar contact with the aircraft. Now, it was full, apparently, 181 passengers, 2 pilots, 6 crew, a total of 189 people on board. There are search and rescue teams being dispatched to the apparent site of the crash, where the water reaches depths of 30 to 35 meters, and they've already been publishing images of what appear to be debris from the plane that have been picked up off the surface of the water, including a cell phone, a backpack, apparently pieces of the aircraft as well. This plane took off at around 6:10 a.m. local time from Jakarta. It was headed to Bangka Island, to Pangkal Pinang. And again, we haven't gotten any information yet from the authorities about fatalities or rescues at this stage. This is really unfolding as we speak. Cyril?
Well, Ivan, this is Natalie. What do we know about this airline in particular? Is it a regional airline? Does it mainly operate in country?
It's a low-cost Indonesian airline, Lion Air, established in 1999, Natalie, and it flies both domestically and internationally. It was purchasing dozens, scores of Boeing planes. Now, we believe this was a 737, a Boeing 737, and as recently as May of this year, Lion Air was announcing the purchase of an additional 50 Boeing 737s to the tune of some $6.2 billion. It has not had the best safety record. In fact, the Aviation Safety Network reports that from 2007 to 2016, it was basically on an EU blacklist for safety concerns, though it had been cleared by IATA, one of the main aviation safety agencies, international safety agencies, more recently. So there were issues, there had been concerns. In 2013, there was a dramatic incident of a Lion Air flight that missed the tarmac. It crashed into the sea before the airstrip. Fortunately, in that case, all the passengers and crew survived.
All right, Ivan Watson reporting live from Hong Kong. Thank you very much.
For more, let's go to aviation expert Jeffrey Thomas. He joins us now from Perth, Australia. He is the editor-in-chief and managing director at airlineratings.com. Jeffrey, thank you for joining us. What data will be available to indicate what might have caused this plane to go down?
Hello.
Hi, Jeffrey. Can you hear us?
I can hear you fine.
Yes, was asking what data might be available to indicate what might have happened to this airplane.
Well, we haven't got any details from air traffic controllers yet. It appears as though there was no distress call. So at this stage, it's still a mystery as to exactly what's happened to this aircraft.
We do know that the pilots, the cockpit indicated just a short time after it took off, it requested to turn back to base. What would that indicate? What might be the reasons that pilots would make that request? What sort of emergency?
Okay, that's new information. That's great. Thank you for that. Well, obviously there was a technical problem in that, if that's the case, which is interesting because the aircraft itself only climbed to 5,000 feet. It didn't continue a normal climb. So obviously they were troubleshooting a problem. They made a couple of minor turns left and right. So clearly they did have a problem, but it's most unusual because, you know, one of the things they would turn back for instance, would be an engine failure of some kind. But losing an engine would not take out the aeroplane. So it really is a mystery as to what the issue was that suddenly caused a catastrophic loss of this aircraft.
Jeffrey, is weather a theory here, maybe a weather-related problem?
Look, we thought that could be the case because it did make some left and right turns, possibly avoiding thunderstorms. But if the pilot, as you have revealed, called and said there was an issue and wanted to turn back, he hadn't actually initiated that turn. So he's taken off. He's climbed about 5,000 feet, which, you know, you can climb to 5,000 feet in a matter of 5 or 6 minutes. And then he held that altitude for some time while making left and right turns, but did not turn back to the airport. He was still going out on a northeasterly course away from the airport and made no turn back.
What would be the protocol? What is the cockpit protocol, Jeffrey, for an air emergency that might have been indicated by the pilots to air traffic controllers? Would they give an indication what they were dealing with if they could?
Well, look, typically in an emergency situation, the first thing you have to do is you have to aviate, fly the aeroplane. Then you have to navigate, fly it in a safe mode, and then you communicate. So it's not surprising that we've had scanned information, because if they're trying to troubleshoot a problem to keep their aeroplane flying, they're so busy they're not going to be chatting to air traffic control, except to say we need to turn back, which they've indicated. They've indicated they've got a problem, but the nature of the problem we simply don't know.
Jeffrey, I'm wondering, there are certain parts of the world where takeoff and landing present specific challenges, or where winds are a specific challenge. Is there anything here around Jakarta, since we know this happened 20 minutes after takeoff, so not far from the actual airstrip and the airport, is there anything about this region that we need to perhaps have on our radar right now?
Look, not really. I mean, Jakarta's a very heavily used airport, lots and lots of traffic. In the immediate vicinity, no, there's nothing that would cause any alarm. There's no mountainous, very, very mountainous ranges or volcanoes, which typically you find around Indonesia. But around Jakarta, no. It seemed like a very normal sort of takeoff. It did a wide arc and then tracked to the northeast, as he would normally do to fly this route, because they're flying to an island just off off Palembang to the north towards Singapore. Everything seemed to be normal, except for the fact that the altitude he climbed to was only about 5,000 feet, and he seemed to have a very slow climb and then hold that climb, but there was no indication of a turn back.
Jeffrey Thomas, we thank you. We know this is early on. We appreciate your expertise. Just once again, a Lion Air passenger plane carrying 189 people has crashed. And as you can see, search and rescue is there at the scene, and we'll continue to bring you any more information as we get it here on CNN.